I said to Melania, what do you think? And she said, you want to do this again? I'm going to get hell when I say this, but her feet are absolutely aching, you know, those heels. And we thought we were leaving, we were going home. She said, darling, I love you so much, but my feet are killing me. I said, honey, let me just see how far it is. I asked the person. Oh, not that long, maybe 400 or 500 yards. That's 5 football fields. I said, can you make it? She said, we're going to make it no matter what. We're going to make it because we have to get, right? Right? And then we went out to the helicopter, though, just prior to this and said goodbye. And it's a custom, and the wind is blowing like crazy. And with the hat that she's wearing, she almost blew away. We almost lost off her. She was being elevated off the ground. She almost blew away. No. So we all appreciate it because you've been a great First Lady. A beautiful and a great First Lady.
It's kind of strange to see a first lady who doesn't have to hold the president's hand just to get off the stage, right? We have a lot of topics on hand today. We're going to be talking about MSNBC hosts raging at the thought of having Trump as president. Former President Joe Biden's embarrassed on his last day in office. Democrats are pissed about the Laken-Riley Act being passed. These people ought to be ashamed of themselves. And far left lawmakers are angry at their own colleagues for attending Trump's inauguration. Comment down below Laken-Riley if you believe that this act should be passed and that it's awesome that it has been. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and kick things off with President Trump being as blunt as ever. And guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hitting the like button and for sharing these videos. You guys are awesome. Let's jump in.
How the hell did this happen? You know what it is? They investigated their political opponent, the opponent of Biden, and then ultimately Kamala. Has anyone ever heard of Kamala? We had to beat 2 opponents, you know? We had to beat Biden, and we beat him. Now he goes on top. The guy was like 39 points down. I think I could have beaten Trump. They should have left me in. I would have beaten. No, his debate performance wasn't the best, right? That's what killed him. And then they had to change, and it's like you get into a fight. The great Dana White spoke last night. We love Dana White, right? UFC. That's like he puts in 2 fighters. One of them's getting creamed, getting really beaten, and they say, all right, take him out. Let's put somebody else in to finish up the fight. That's what they did to us. They gave us somebody new, but we took care of both of them. So we beat actually 2 opponents. But to stop the weaponization of law enforcement and our government, I will also sign an order directing every federal agency to preserve all records pertaining to political persecutions under the last administration, of which there were many, and beginning the process of exposing any and all abuses of power.
Now, this is not good news for anybody who might be guilty of crimes against humanity, although it could explain why former President Biden had to rush and get some last-minute pardons done just before he left the White House. Now, liberals are not happy with President Trump. In fact, I have a feeling that they're going to be crying about having him as president for the next 4 years. I mean, just listen to MSNBC's Joy Reid losing her freaking mind and going almost completely bald about executive orders from Donald Trump. Watch.
The promises on the table are 200 some odd executive actions, an attempt to get rid of birthright citizenship, an attempt to do mass deportation, which we thought was being threatened on the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, apparently, which said, yeah, you can't come here and do that. And maybe they backed down. We're talking about an attempt to portray this peaceful transition of power with people who were convicted in the insurrection attempt attending.
And it's not just Joy Reid who's complaining about the president. Look at Rachel Maddow. She had to get in on this action too. But let's face it, this is why Rachel Maddow is getting paid the big bucks.
The second inaugural address my take on it was that it had more of a vibe of a State of the Union address than an inaugural address, I think in part because it was indoors. And that made it sort of feel like he was addressing a joint session of Congress, even though he wasn't, even though this was an inaugural address. President Trump spoke in his sort of trademark low monotone gave his list of grievances. Among his grievances this time was an assertion that there was not even a token effort made to fight the Los Angeles fires, which was a very unusual assertion. If this inaugural address is remembered, I think, as a signal of what's to come.
They're never going to learn their lesson, are they? A majority of the freaking country voted for this man, and they're all over their shows trying to disparage him in any way that they can. It's like they're trying to dismiss the American people who voted for him. And here's what Rachel Maddow had to say about the people who attended the president's inauguration.
Would be singing. Kristi Noem, the nominee for Homeland Security, next to Apple CEO Tim Cook. How is this happening?
Only in America.
How is this happening? Why are people with tons of money up on the dais with cabinet nominees and family members?
It is a message.
It is a message, and I think I think they are up there for the very reason that you probably think they're up there.
It is a pivotal moment here. Jeff Bezos, the billionaire owner of the Washington Post and Amazon and that space company, standing in front of RFK Jr., the wildly controversial nominee to be Health and Human Services Secretary.
Now, there's one response here to Rachel Maddow that asked, would you rather Trump meet with them behind closed doors like Biden? Which is kind of funny because Kamala Harris had the support of almost double the billionaires that President Trump had. And yet they keep saying that Trump is only like for the billionaire. He's only like Trump is only for the rich. Yet the Democrats had all of the richest people in the world backing them. It makes no sense. Like the level of hypocrisy is just ridiculous at this point. Anyway, and yet this is awful because these billionaires are now seemingly supporting the president. So if this is the route that these hosts will take, then they better get used to some pay cuts, because not a lot of people are going to be enjoying watching them vent every time that they're in front of a camera. Now, moving on, guys, there's also a lot of venting that's being done by Democrats on X. Representative Ilhan Omar went on the social media platform to blast her colleagues for even attending Trump's inauguration. This is what she said in her post. People are more upset at performers, artists attending Trump's inaugural events, but not upset at all at the politicians who told them he was a threat to democracy. Going to these events are not serious. Performers at least know that they're there to perform and get paid. But these politicians who ran their mouth for like 4 years and are now willing to be there and clap for him, that's who they should be mad at. They lied to you, and your criticism and your anger should be rightfully directed at them. Also, no one should ask people who are performers and artists to be loyal to a party, because that's just what dictatorships do. In a free country like America, people should be able to support any party that they want without their livelihood being compromised. So here's the thing that she has to realize. The fact is that the Democrats are pretty good at lying to the American people. It's kind of like a prerequisite for some of them if you think about it. Now, I guess she's a little bit embarrassed now because she was on the same boat as these people. She described the president as an existential threat to our democracy. So to see top Democrats clap for him is kind of weird for her. Now, here's the deal. Democrats are not in the best mood these days, and a lot of them are just straight up angry that the Lincoln-Riley Act was passed in the Senate.
The Senate has now passed the Lincoln-Riley Act. That means the bill will now head to President Trump's desk to be signed into law. The bill was named in honor of a Georgia nursing student who was murdered by an undocumented immigrant. The bill also requires federal authorities to detain undocumented migrants accused of theft and violent crimes.
Democrats who voted against this common sense bill blasted their own party. They were particularly frustrated with Senator Chuck Schumer giving a green light to colleagues to go ahead and advance the bill. They're angry because they didn't get an ironclad guarantee that they can amend the legislation down the road. Now, one Democratic senator who wants to stay anonymous had this to say. There is huge frustration that the bill didn't go to committee on something so consequential. There's a huge concern because we're talking about the mandatory imprisonment based on an accusation without a person even being charged, let alone being convicted, and this applies to kids. It's a sweeping assault on core principles, and it doesn't even have a judicial review component. No wonder they wanted to be anonymous with these comments. The idea is that this bill is anti-immigrant, when in fact it's anti-crime. Even protesters are not even aware of why they're protesting against this bill.
We're here today with a civil rights and immigrant rights group called BAM.
Okay.
And we're here to defeat Donald Trump and his fascist movement.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
How do you plan to defeat him in the fascist movement?
Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump has stated that like on day one, he's going to carry out mass deportation and to pardon January 6th like rioters. And we, especially the Lincoln Riley bill, is an immigrant bashing bill that has to be defeated now. And I think that we must take mass action to stop like these ICE terror in our community, and we want to raise wherever we are in our community, we have to build defense guard against ICE raids and deportations.
Do you know who Laken Riley is?
When I read it, I kind of retained the information, but I didn't retain.
I think she was killed by a guy that was an illegal immigrant.
Huh?
I think she was killed by a guy that was an illegal immigrant. That's part of the reason this bill is a big deal.
Yeah, I think that might have been the case. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, are you supportive of measures to, protect the border from criminals and people like that?
I mean, I think that has been like a really right-wing rhetoric. Crimes happen everywhere in the world and in any community. And to paint a picture that illegal immigrants are coming in to be terrorists and criminals, that's just plain racist.
So he doesn't know who Laken Riley is? Huh. And to protect our borders from illegal immigrants that are criminals is racist somehow? Okay, not making any sense yet. So here's my question to you all now. Do you think it's discriminatory to stop illegal immigrants that are criminals from entering our country? Now, on that note, guys, I do want you guys to check out a previous live stream of mine where I talked about Tom Homan's plans for mass deportations. And I got a feeling that we're going to see a few more mayors and governors sent to jail for defending illegal aliens. Now, as always, appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for sharing this video and clicking the like button. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.